Yo. What's good, guys? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? All right. So, today's market open honestly does not look super bad. But we definitely have to plan. Hold on. I gotta go on my laptop real quick and close TradingView. Bro, I don't know. Dude, I paid TradingView so much money for them to only let me use TradingView on one computer, bro. It's hold on, guys. Bro, it's so stupid. Like, bro, who cares if I'm using TradingView on two computers, bro? Like, this is like the only app that I know that actually like cares so much. Anyways, okay, we're back. All right, let me screenshot. Let me screenshot. We need a smooth day today. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Now, yesterday was green, so I'm not really complaining. And I am pretty green on the week. About I'm pretty sure $800-ish per account. So I'm gonna take today a little bit easy. Now, as you guys joining, in fact, I'm gonna wait for everyone to join just because I know I'm gonna be repeating myself all morning today with the same thing. But what I was gonna say is, guys, tomorrow no trades. And I'm sure you guys know why. But tomorrow is the third Friday of the month, and for those that don't know, it is OPEX. All right. So yeah, I don't trade OPEX. I don't even bother with it. So yeah. Anyways, now coming into market open, we have a pretty good reading. All right, and this is exactly what I'm seeing. All right, hold on. Let me put my OBS here on the side. Let me make sure. Okay, yeah. All right. So pretty much what I'm seeing coming into market open, guys, it's pretty simple. So we're kind of sandwiched, right? We're sandwiched in between the London high, which we created about 30, 45 minutes ago, right? And this high is sitting over at 23,000, pretty much 160, right? So 23,160. Now we have a London low all the way down here at 23,072. Now, what did we do coming into market open? Well, the market sold off with the first candle. It wasn't really the craziest sell-off, but it was definitely a sell-off, to really pay attention to. And hold on, let me go and start this stream on YouTube real quick. All right, hold up, give me a second. Before I finish explaining this. Okay, and put it out here. One sec, guys. And then let me put it out over here. Okay, so pretty much what I'm looking to see coming into market open is a few things. All right, so obviously coming into market open, the first thing we did was sell off into the objective, or one of the objectives, right? One of the objectives being this London low right down here. All right, we took it out and we pretty much swept it. Not instantly, but we swept it, right? We took it out and we're currently holding above it with a really good amount of buying pressure. All right, so what exactly do I want to see? Well, obviously right now with the buying pressure kicking in after we took out the DOL, it's pretty safe to say that the buys, at least in the smaller time frame, is going to be to the upside. Upside into where? Well, we have the London high, we have the internal high, and we even have all-time highs right over here, which I've been trying to trade into all-time highs all week. We're getting the right trades, but we're not getting the right volume to really push into this high up here. We're pushing into like some internal or some London or whatever, but I really want to see the all-time highs get taken out by today. All right, so maybe this is the trade. Who knows, right? Now, what exactly do I want to see for now? All right, well, what I want to see for now, guys, is I want to see, obviously, we have most of the read already here, right, which was sell off during the London during market open, right? And the reason we sold off, guys, is because we took out the Asia high drawn liquidity over here. We took it out during London, or about 45 minutes ago. We sold off into the next objective right over here, but we also created a new London high that we want to take out right now, which is exactly why we're going up. All right, so we have an objective here. We took out the objective, we swept it, we formed the MSS. We took out the next objective to the downside, we took it out, we swept it, we're forming a short-term MSS, and now we want to take out these two or maybe even three objectives up here. All right, so what is the current setup? All right, well, the current setup is looking at this 5-minute gap right over here. This is what I was waiting for, which for those wondering, like, yo, why'd you get on live 15 minutes later than usual? Or maybe like 5 minutes later than usual, because I usually get on at 9:40. But guys, the whole reason as to why I got on so late is because I was waiting for a setup to form. I was keeping an eye on the 15-minute, and there was not. We almost formed something really good here, but it just didn't fit to my standards. So I'm like, you know what? I'll just wait for something new to really form here. All right. So while we waited for that, well, look at what we got right here. We have about a 48-point candle that we can, or not even 55 points. My bad. It was 48 points when I was looking at it. All right, but we have a 55-point candle right here that we could possibly use as a continuation model to take into longs into the all-time highs, or maybe even, maybe London high first, of course, and then the internal, and then all-time highs. All right, so what we're going to be doing here, guys, is we're going to go ahead and mark out our gap just like this, right? And I'm going to mark out the chart just so you guys, for the people tuning in, I really don't feel like repeating myself a million times, because it's like I see the setup, and then 2 seconds later, someone asks, yo, what are we looking? You know what I mean? So I'm going to write it down here on the chart, and I'm going to write it down in the setups to watch. Just because I'm pretty green on the week, so I'm kind of debating whether I want to size really light on this trade for myself, or if I just do commentary today and just guide you guys through the trade for myself as well. Because I kind of just want to call it a week already, with the profits that we have, or that I have. I don't know about you guys. Hopefully you guys are sitting green, but you guys get the point. All right, so what we have, you guys, is once again we have the London high, DOL right over here, right? We took out, or yeah, I'm not gonna explain the full setup just because it's not really. I'm gonna explain what we need. All right, I'm not gonna bother wasting time with that. All right, so we have the London high drawn liquidity over here. We NQ took out the London here. All right, let me see. We took out the London high right over here. Right, we are holding above it. Price is holding above the London. London low. I don't know why I'm putting high. Hold on. London low. Confirming the DOL sweep. Right, and here we're getting a lot of buying pressure, which will be confirming a short or a smaller time frame. If you look at the 1 minute, we're going from creating lower highs and lower lows into creating higher highs and higher lows. All right, so on the smaller time frame, like the 1 minute time frame, with the buying pressure kicking in on the smaller time frame, NQ is confirming the MSS model after the DOL sweep. All right, so we have everything lined up. So what exactly do we really want to look for here? Well, with this one and only candle right, or not one and only, but with this one candle right here that we have right now, we want to see if NQ can afford, if sellers can really step in just a little bit here to at least tap into this fair value gap so we can get an entry into longs to then take longs up here. All right, so the game plan would be ideally dump down about 25 to 30 points into the midpoint, preferably, right? Then we push up on yet another 30 points. We take longs. We have, I would say, maybe about a 30-point price target, maybe 25 to 30 points, depending on our entry. And then we take profits here, here, and here, right? So we would have 3 price targets. Now, the main thing that is very important right now is because we have everything already. We have everything confirmed, right, on the smaller time frame. All we need now is to see if sellers can afford to step in now, or if we just don't get a setup at all. All right, this is kind of like a make it or break it deal, because right now we do have a lot of buying pressure kicking in. That's kind of the upside of, with all the coming in with all of the confirmations that we have. Now the only downside is with so much buying pressure kicking in with the MSS model, the DOL sweep, the reversal, everything that we have for our confirmations. With too much buying pressure coming in, it's a little bit bad. Although we want a lot of buying pressure to be on our side, so we can take longs, we temporarily need a lot of selling to kick in, so we can retrace about 35 points to the down, or maybe 25 to 30 points, maybe even 35 points around there, to go into the fair value gap to then take longs into our direction. Because guys, if we just continue going up, which it kind of seems like we're doing, so we might miss out on the setup, unfortunately. We obviously won't be able to take longs anywhere, because it's not really too smart to be taking longs at the highs. It's, there's obviously better setups out there. All right, now, in the meantime, I'll wait for this, because right now, honestly, I love the setup, but my hopes aren't high. I don't really think we're going to get an entry. Why exactly? Because obviously there's a lot of buying pressure kicking in, and we're like less than 10 points away from taking the price target, or at least one of the price targets. All right, so worst comes to worst, we just find a setup later on. But it really sucks that we're probably not going to see the setup play out. Because we just can't afford a retracement. It's the buying pressure is too strong. So we have all of the reads right, and we have the buys correct and everything. It's just the entry model. We just couldn't get it in time. All right. Now, in the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and start marking everything out on ES, just because I have to fix my levels over here, so I can get more of a read on ES, because I think we have a little bit of an SMT here. I could be wrong, but let me kind of catch up with this in the meantime. I, I'm really hoping that we can get some sort of a miracle where we dump down 4 points before taking out the liquidity, but no, that's not gonna be the case. All right, but it doesn't matter. The market just opened. I'm sure we can get a setup again, as well. Maybe with the same bias if we want to shoot into all-time highs. But man, that kind of sucks that we couldn't catch that setup there. It was pretty much perfect. Um, but yeah, let's see. We still haven't really taken out this level. So, guys, imagine a miracle happens and we just completely sell off. Imagine that. Because remember, guys, our price target is still there. Look at this. We never took it out, right? But what are the chances? You know what I mean? What are the chances? But we'll see. We'll see. Anyways, in the meantime, let me mark out all of my stuff over here on ES to make sure that we have everything pretty much marked out. I will say, I think ES is a little bit closer to all-time highs than NQ is, or maybe they're around the same range, honestly. So yeah, maybe we can with the amount of buying pressure kicking in this morning, or with the momentum, the buy momentum coming in, we could probably trade into all-time highs. Is the only thing that concerns me is how can we get a setup? Because right now we have one, but we're not going to see it, right? We're probably more than likely not going to see it just because there's so much buying pressure kicking in. All right, unless we get a super unexpected sell-off into the fair value gap and get a perfect bounce to then take longs, right? But that's not going to happen because, I mean, look at how close we are from the price target. All right, so worst comes to worst, I have this one really, really late setup on ES, which I don't think I'm going to take just because the price target is not so bad either. Because the setup was on the 15-minute. But you know what it is, taking longs after we're super overbought up here on ES. I don't really want to do that too much. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Um, maybe we have, if ES has a setup on the 15-minute, maybe we have one on NQ. Nah, we inversed it right here because we did have it. This is the setup that I'm watching on ES, but we inversed it. Hmm. And guys, I don't know if you guys remember, but I put out a setup yesterday that I really wanted to take today, which was going to be this 15-minute inverse, and I would take it. But the thing is, we've tried to inverse it 2 times already, and we failed. And obviously, I'm not going to bother trying to invert. I mean, inverse this fair value gap that's been inverse already 2 times into our price target that's like 10 points away. I mean, I'm not trying to really do that right now. But anyways, guys, we hit the drawn liquidity right over here, over at 23,158. Now, obviously, we're getting an instant sell off here, which is interesting. Very, very interesting. So I'm assuming there was a lot of liquidity sitting here to the point where the market literally took it out and swept it instantly. All right, which is why we have these price targets, all right, to avoid these sell-offs. But like I said, let me mark out my levels of liquidity over here on ES to make sure that I have everything kind of lined up and ready here. Not that there's really much here either way. Maybe there's a liquidity here, but I don't even think we took it out. Yeah, no, we didn't. So yeah, let me kind of mark out this London. I'm gonna do London/Asia. London/Asia. But yeah, we were getting a quick sell-off. Now, depending on if we sell off into this fair value gap, we can probably decide whether we want to inverse it or not. Now, here's where it can get a little bit tricky. All right, because I know we had a beautiful textbook perfect setup, right? And we still do, right? We have all of the confirmations, London low, DOL sweep, all that good stuff, the MSS model, buying pressure, all that stuff. All right, but here's the problem, guys. All right, in fact, let me ask you guys in the chat, because I have a lot of you guys active in here. What do you guys think is the problem here that can make trading going forward, making trading just really tricky in general for the entire day? Let me know. We swept both levels. We took out the objectives both to the upside and to the downside, right? So it's going to be it's going to be pretty tricky to really decide what we want to do, because hear me out. All right, guys, hear me out. In most cases, this is where I typically call it a day, whether I got a trade or not, but I'm not going to, just in case. All right, but here's what I mean. All right, let's say, for example, right, coming into market open, we find all of our levels of liquidity. What is the first thing that we do? We wait for one direction to get taken out. Why exactly? Because that one direction getting taken out, that's going to tell us what the market wants to do, depending on the reaction, whether we want to hold above or below, or sweep the drawn liquidity or not. That is going to tell us which direction has more strength and where the market wants to go in direction. All right, now, coming into market open today, we had 2 levels of liquidity. What is the first thing we did? We took out the downside liquidity. The reaction that we got, well, we held above the downside liquidity after we took it out, confirming the DOL sweep, meaning that we knew that the market was going to go up, right? Go up into where? Into our objective, which is mainly this London high over here. Now, what is the problem? Well, with us taking out both the objective to the downside and the objective to the upside, we don't really know what the market wants to do anymore because we took out both of its objectives. All right, so that is going to be a little bit of an issue. So let's say, for example, we go back down into the fair value gap. Here's where it gets very, very tricky. All right. If we go back down to this fair value gap, would you guys know exactly what to take? Because I really wouldn't. All right. And why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I know? Well, because guys, we took out the price target up here, and we also took out a price target down here. So we can't really inverse it, nor can we really trade a bounce from the fair value gap. Now, I'm not saying that we can't, because we can always get a retracement and go right back up into all-time highs, since we do have more levels of liquidity above, but we also do to the downside, right? So it all depends on how the volume kicks in. So I'm not saying that it's not tradable, but it's just gonna be very, very, very tricky to really get around. You get what I'm saying? So I'm trying to work with something here. All right. But in most cases, when this tends to happen, when we take out most liquidity to upside and to a downside, I've seen the market, most of the time, I'm going to say maybe like 75 to 80% of the time, it tends to chop out because it doesn't really have any more of a reason to go up nor down. So in most cases, the market just tends to chop up and just stay still. But maybe we can start cooking up a setup if we kind of end up getting a little bit more volume in the market. All right. So for now, unfortunately, I know we had a setup, but we're gonna have to kind of wait it out to see what we do, if we can retrace into this value gap or if we want to go higher. And if we end up going higher, unfortunately, guys, we won't really be able to take a setup, because let's say, for example, right, from this exact point, we push up 40 points, right? By the time we create a new fair value gap to the upside, we're already taking out yet another price target. All right, so we can't really do that. Now, some of you are saying that ES is dumping. Not really. I mean, we're getting a little bit of a sell-off here, which is normal because obviously NQ took out the objective. So yeah, it's pretty much just waiting to see what reaction we get, if we can retrace back down. All right. David, ES never swept lows. Maybe it can drag NQ down. Good eye. Honestly, because that is a pretty good reason. We have the same low that NQ took out right down here, which will be the London low. ES never ended up taking it out. Right here, as you guys see, we have the London low that we never took out. So maybe with ES taking out this London/Asia high over here, Asia being this one and London being this one, if we can start selling off and holding below this, we can wait for ES to inverse this fair value gap. And if ES inverses that fair value gap with the selling pressure kicking in, we could probably inverse this fair value gap right over here and possibly take shorts into maybe this new New York low or 23,017. But the problem is behind this one is if we take short off this, okay, 30, just barely below 30 points. That's not bad as a price target if we get like a picture perfect entry. But in order for me to really take this setup, because keep in mind we're still breaking past new highs, so that's something, right? But we will need to have a lot of selling pressure. And the reason I'm saying this is, although ES might be showing like weakness and it wants to go lower and everything, we got to keep in mind that NQ doesn't have too much room for lower, right? We have about 30 points for PT1, and PT2 is good. It's like 80 points, right? But we'll see. It all depends on the selling pressure. Now, I don't really think we get it anytime soon because right now we are ripping past highs. And as much as I want to take longs into all-time highs, which I said at the beginning of the stream, I really there's just no setups up here. The only setup that I have for now to really work with, maybe we have something on the 15-minute. Let me see, because maybe we can resort to the 15-minute instead, because I really, really doubt that we dump all the way back down over 65 points to get an entry to then push up 65 plus points to then hit all-time highs. I don't think that's going to happen. I really don't. All right, so we're going to have to unfortunately, we're going to have to try to find a setup around here. As much as I want to have a bullish bias and trade it into all-time highs, I think our best bet is probably trading to the downside, just because we have more room and we're not going to be as oversold than we are right now, kind of overbought. You know what I mean? Because why would we want to take longs up here after we already pushed up over 100 points? You know what I mean? It kind of doesn't make sense. We tried that before, and it gets very slow, very choppy, and we get chopped out, or the market just completely reverses because we get buyer exhaustion. All right. But yeah, also nice, bro. Nice. Yeah, why didn't we take the inverse on the 15-minute time frame? Well, we don't really have anything on the 15-minute time frame. That's the thing. Now, you might be thinking, why didn't we take an inverse off this fair value gap? Well, you could have. I'm not saying that you couldn't, but I'm sure you guys know how I trade. I always say the same exact thing every single time. I am very, very picky with my setups. If the trade is being missed by even one tick, I will not take it. I don't care. I really don't. All right. Now, look at this one. If on the 15-minute time frame, if the market is just barely struggling to even hit 40 points on a candle, it's probably not good enough. All right. So yeah, although you could have taken the setup and probably like had a few like, like maybe you broke a few rules, you're like, you know what, let me just take it, whatever. Right? You're kind of just gonna break your rules because this is not even a fair value cap in my eyes, right? Keep in mind, on the 5-minute time frame, we typically look for minimum 40 points, let alone on the 15-minute time frame. All right. So on the 15-minute time frame, if a candle is barely 40 points, it is not good enough for me. All right. Now, if that means I have to miss a position, so be it. You know what I mean? Is the market gonna go anywhere? No. All right. The market will always be here tomorrow. The market's gonna outlive all of us. All right. So we'll be fine if we miss one setup. All right. Just because the setup wasn't that good, I'm just not gonna take it, no matter what. All right. So yeah. Anyways, on the 5-minute time frame, we're still trying to get. I'm trying to get a new read. I don't really want to look to trade longs anymore, just because we already hit most of our price targets, which was mainly this London high, and I want to see this internal high get taken out. In a few seconds, maybe a few minutes from now. I'm gonna outlive the market for real, bro. I mean, you never know, bro. Anything can really happen. But right now, the main thing to watch is just like I think it was your name is Leo. I'm gonna say Leo. It's easier. Right? What Leo said was he was saying that yeah, ES did never took out the drawn liquidity to a downside. So maybe just a little bit of a maybe, we can probably expect a sell-off soon, maybe off of this internal high up here. And we could probably look to take an inverse, maybe off this gap right here. No, because this was 26 points. So that's the problem as well, guys. If man, this is why I don't like when the market takes on both objective. It just makes it so much harder to trade. Because what I was gonna say was if we take out this internal high over here, we could probably look to take shorts, right? But the problem is we don't have a setup anywhere until all the way down here, which is 87 points away from an entry. And I'm not trying to wait for an 87-point sell-off to then make 28 points. Not even 27 points. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to do that. So I want to see something up here. All right. What a way to wake up, bro. No, but when you guys are taking trades, you always have to click the gray button. Cause look, it's happened to me before, bro. But always click that gray button like right up here, bro. Always, always, always. We'll get some water, bro. I already have some water, bro. So I can't even go, bro. There's nothing stopping ES on to autumn highs now, even if it even wants it. I agree. I don't really actually no. We kind of do. We not really. Well, a little bit, a little bit. We have 326, which isn't a crazy level. If you look at like the 15-minute time frame, it's kind of like whatever. But I guess like the two things stopping us from hitting autumn highs is barely gonna be 326, and I'm gonna say this 15-minute fair value up over here as well, and maybe the 5-minute as well. No, the 15-minute, the 15-minute. So if we can inverse this thing, then yeah, we're probably gonna see all-time highs on ES, and maybe even on an NQ for sure. David, are you eating the snack wraps today? I have yet to try, bro. David, there's a 15-minute fair value up above the one that you have marked out on NQ or ES. Which one are you talking about? NQ or ES? NQ, 15-minute fair value gap. I don't really have the one that I have marked out. Oh, you're talking about this one. Oh, the thing is, okay, look, sure, we can possibly take shorts off of this fair value gap. It would just make the trade really risky. So it depends. It depends. All right. So hear me out. Hear me out. All right. And John, I see your question. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. All right. Let me see. Blast, I think I heard you say before that an inverse fair value doesn't have to be 40 points. Is that correct? No, the gap doesn't have to be 40 points. The candle has to be 40 or more points. All right. What do I mean by that? All right. Look at this. Look at this. All right. The gap here, if you measure it from top to bottom, is about 23 points, right? You might be wondering, like, yo, a fair value gap has to be 40 plus points. No, the imbalance of the candle has to be over 40 points. All right. So if you look at this candle from top to bottom, including wicks, it's over 55 points. Do you get what I'm saying? So yeah. Now, back to the other question. Someone said we have a fair value gap over here. Why can't we just take shorts off this one? Well, we could if you guys want to be risky for today. All right. So here's what I mean. right? We have a fair value gap on the 15-minute time frame right over here, and we have a fair value gap on the 5-minute time frame right over here. Which one do you guys think is the safer one to trade? Well, the safer one to trade will be if we inverse the 15-minute with a lot of selling, and if we also inverse the 5-minute with a lot of selling, right? Now, which one do you guys think will be the riskier one? All right, and the reason I'm saying it will be safer is because if we inverse these two fair value gaps with a lot of selling, we have nothing stopping us until our price targets down here and down here, right? But what makes this fair value gap appear so risky? Well, guys, if we take an inverse off this fair value gap and we shoot down just barely 10 points, we're gonna approach the next 5-minute fair value gap, which we can then bounce from out of nowhere and stop us out. Because remember, if we're going to be taking shorts, we want to look for at least a 30-point price target. 30 to 35 points, that's the usual, right? To see 35 points, we would have to inverse literally both fair value gaps to the tick, all right? So the thing is, before you get a trim or a scale, if you take shorts off this one and we go maybe 20 points into this fair value gap below and we bounce back up, you're getting stopped out. And that's the problem, all right? So it depends. If the selling comes in really strong, maybe we can even consider taking this one and then just trading into the price targets below like this and like this and like this. Or if the selling pressure is like whatever, we can probably wait for the PM session, wait for this one to get inversed if it ever even ends up getting inversed, and then we just wait for this one to go ahead and give us our entry model. All right, it all depends. It all depends for sure. All right, but in the meantime, with the buying pressure kicking in, because right now we had a nice selling candle, which we almost had a DOL sweep. We just barely had it, but we didn't hold it up for not even a second. If you're gonna flip back red to green, we can go ahead and wait for an inverse or not an inverse, a sweep off of this level, or for this level to get taken out, and we wait for more of a reaction, and we go based off that. Plus, how does a fair value gap even work though? There's like stop losses in the gap. Okay, so wait, let me drink some water before I give you the example. Give me a second. Okay, so we have to understand what creates a fair value gap, right? What creates a fair value gap is an imbalance. So what exactly is an imbalance? All right, so okay, and everyone pay attention here, all right? Because I know you guys probably have the same question, all right? So when we're looking for a fair value gap, what do we look for? We're looking for a very big and very, what's the word? I think the word is abnormal candle, right? Is that the word? Like something that's not normal, something that stands out from the rest. All right, that's the word, right? Abnormal. I think that's the word. Exactly, a juicy candle, right? In that, yeah, abnormal. Exactly. Okay, yeah, juicy candle, whatever. Okay, so when we're looking for a fair value gap, the one thing we're doing is we're looking for a candle that stands out from the rest. And what makes a candle stand out from the rest? Well, yeah. I'm not gonna say that, but you get the point. You get the point. All right. Anyways, a candle that stands out from the rest, we're looking for a way bigger candle that looks so much better than the rest. So, for example, let's look at this candle, right? This candle is 9 points. Let's look at this candle, 13 points. Let's look at this one, 18 points, 11 points, 19 points. This one, it's something, about, whatever. It's not really a gap because it's the wick, but let's look at this one right over here, right? If you look at this candle right over here, guys, does this candle not stand out from the rest? Why? All of these candles were less than 20 points, right? Look at this one, over 55 points, right? So there's something going on in this candle that is, wait, we're selling off. I'm not gonna lie. But there's something going on in this candle that stands out from the rest. And what's going on here, guys, is we're getting so much more buying than what we were doing over here. And we're selling off a lot. So I don't even know if I have time to explain this example. But I do have 3 minutes, all right? Anyways, no, wait. Why are we selling off so much? Anyways, back to what I was saying. Okay. Anyway, dude, it's like anytime I'm about to speak, it just keeps going lower. Um, okay, what I was gonna say was when we're looking for a candle like this, the reason it stands out is because there's so much volume that went into this one candle that it makes it kind of get imbalanced with the market. Now, what do I mean by imbalanced with the market? Keep speaking. I know it seems to be working apparently. All right. Anyways, so what I mean by an imbalance in the market is when so much buying pressure is coming in. If I ask you guys, all right, okay, let me see. How many of you guys in here, if you guys want type of one or a me in the chat, how many of you guys in here have ever traded options? All right, let me know. Let me know. One, nope. Me, yeah, 7. Real funny, real funny. Okay, yeah. So I'm seeing a lot of you guys traded options. Now, if you guys have ever traded options, maybe for more than a month, you guys have probably tried buying into the option or into the contract, and you probably have never gotten filled, right? With the buy and with the bid and ask, right? Let's say for example you try buying an option, you see it at one price in 1 second, you try buying it in the next second, you never get filled. All right, the same thing applies in the market, right? When the market is going up like crazy, so many people are trying to buy into the Nasdaq or into whatever thing you're trading, right? And when the price is going up so fast with so many people trying to get in, a lot of people are probably going to end up not getting filled. So what does the market do? All right. Well, it's like, hey, you know what I mean? We're going up. We're not gonna forget about you. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and retrace back into the fair value gap or the imbalance, right? Which then creates a fair value gap, right? So we're gonna retrace back into the imbalance, right? We're gonna fill most of the orders that never got filled. So that's why you guys might notice, hey, this fair value gap we bounce from the top, or this fair value gap we bounce to the bottom, or the middle, or whatever, right? It's gonna bounce based off wherever the most liquidity is placed at. All right. Same thing with a level of liquidity, right? When we take out a level of liquidity, there are a bunch of orders placed here. What do we do when we take out this level of liquidity? Well, most times we go right back up. All right. Same thing applies with an imbalance. There's the same way there's a bunch of levels placed here. The same ways, I mean, a bunch of orders placed here. The same way there's a bunch of orders placed here. So how exactly do we know this? Or how exactly do we like know how to trade around it? Well, when obviously the market skips out on a lot of orders, it's gonna go back down, fill up all the orders, and then go back up. All right. And that's exactly how an imbalance works. Right. Now, why am I saying imbalance and not fair value gap? Because, guys, an imbalance is not what we trade. An imbalance is what we look for. A fair value gap is what we form to then get the entry model. The way we find the fair value gap is from the top candle wick and the bottom candle wick from the third candle. Right. We mark it out, and then this range right here will be our fair value gap. All right. Keep that in mind. This is how we used to trade options, dude. The strat combo, bro. If you guys were there, bro, you guys don't understand. That strategy had like a 98% win rate. You guys don't understand. Like I know it might sound crazy, but you guys just had to be there. Like you guys had to be there to trade that this model right here. It might look like, yo, like what the hell even is this, bro? It's like a bunch of numbers on candles, guys. You don't understand. Look when I put it out, 2023, guys. I promise you, I was in high school trading this model, and every single day I would be catching 100+ point trades every single day. I promise you guys, this strategy had like a 98% win rate. And when ICT kind of got a little bit more well known, this strategy fell from the face of the earth. Like, dude, this strategy went from having over a 90% win rate to now having like a 60% win rate. It was, I don't know what happened, but dude, everyone in the trading community on Twitter or whatever would trade this one strategy, bro. I'm not gonna lie, I completely forgot about this strat, bro. You kind of like took me back, bro. Dude, this strategy was insane, bro. It was so fun to trade as well, bro. It was super fun. This is one of my favorite strats, but it doesn't really work anymore, unfortunately. But man, this took me back, bro. Dude, I sound like an old ass guy, bro. This was like not barely even 2 years ago, bro. Anyways, all right, let's go back. Let's see. I know people who still trade it. Yeah, people still trade it because it's a pretty valid strategy. I'm not saying that it doesn't work, but what it was, yeah, it literally got patched. And I know I say that models or trading strategies can't get patched, but that one is a prime definition of a model getting patched, bro. Dude, that model used to be so good. I'm seeing a lot of you guys saying that you guys used to trade it, bro. Look, if you guys were there while it was like a really good model, dude, you guys know what I'm saying, bro. That dude, you know what it is? Charting your levels overnight and seeing a one candle, bro, those inside bars were like, bro, heaven on earth, bro. Look, because guys, the way it used to work is to say, for example, right, we're trading Tesla, right? So we're charting Tesla for tomorrow, right? And the way it would work, guys, is if you find an inside bar, right? Like this, for example, this right here would be an inside bar. The way you would trade it is whether it breaks above or below the daily high or low for the next day, you take shorts and you instantly make money, bro. It was crazy, bro. For the people that used to trade the strat, do you guys know what I'm talking about? It was called the 2-1-2 model. Dude, at night, bro, when you would see the 2-1 when you were charting for the next day, bro, that 2-1 was insane, bro. You would know that the next day you were making the biggest bag in the world, bro. A 2-1-2 up or down. Exactly, dude. That model was insane, bro. I miss it so much. Anyways, bro, now we're back to, now we're reading liquidity, bro. So we've come a long way for sure. But anyways, all right. So right now, we do have a 15-minute fair value gap. Now, depending on how we sell off, we could probably get a good read into the downside here, into a good short. But right now, the volume is a little iffy. I'm not gonna lie. So, yeah. Now I'm gonna catch up with the questions in just a second. So give me a second, because I want to write the setup on the setups to watch channel, just in case I probably take it light or I just do commentary behind it, just so you guys have it ready. All right, and I don't even think I'm gonna have time to really write this down, bro, because the selling is coming in pretty hot here. All right, guys. So let me see if I have enough time to really write it down here. Dude, I sometimes hate how I'm so like into detail with all of my setups, bro, because I write a whole essay behind all my setups no matter what, bro. And I know you guys really appreciate it in like most times, but dude, sometimes it's like I'm trying to give you guys a setup and I have to take time to really write everything out. But yeah, no, we're gonna sell off, bro. So I'm probably not gonna have time for this. Let me lock in. I'm gonna go quiet, guys, for a second. So if I'm not talking, don't worry about it. I'm still here. I gotta type as fast as possible to write the setup out real quick. Okay, confirming the deal will sweep. Okay. Unfortunately, guys, I'm not gonna have enough time to really write out the essay that I typically write out like this, for example, in the chat. I really don't have time because we're about to inverse this fair value gap with a pretty good amount of selling coming in. So I'm just gonna say, guys, like, here's the setup that I'm watching. Thank you. This is the most I could do right now because we're right on the setup. Yeah, we're literally inversing as we speak. So once again, guys, let's see if we can get an inverse, or not an inverse, an impulse below this fair value gap. If we get a strong enough impulse, I'll probably let you guys know that you guys should take it. I'm probably not gonna alert it for myself just because I'm pretty happy with what I have for the week, and I really don't want to give it back just because I'm not gonna be trading tomorrow. So for me, I'm gonna take my profits and run for the week. But if you guys obviously want to trade it, don't worry, it's gonna be the same thing as an alert. I'll just let you guys know how to trade it. All right. But yeah, let me see. Here's the setup that I'm watching right now on NQ. I pretty much just want to see mainly an impulse below this fair value gap. So obviously we don't have an entry just yet. Keep that in mind. Hopefully in the next 8 minutes we can kind of shoot this back down so we can go ahead and get an inverse here. Now keep in mind, ES on the other hand, it's kind of on this 5-minute gap that we also need to inverse. So if NQ gets a little bit, choppy or a little bit slow, always know that the whole reason behind it is mainly because of ES right here. All right, ES is still inside of the bullish fair value gap that we need to inverse. All right. But yeah, let me go ahead and put out. Let me go ahead and put everything out here. Let me make sure that the chart is looking good here. Oh, never mind. All right, let me just go ahead and put it here. Here's the setup that I'm watching. There we go. Okay, let me go ahead and put it out over in our P server as well. Perfect. Here's something I'm watching right now on NQ. Perfect. All right, so yeah, let's see if we can get a nice impulse into the selling. It kind of seems like we're getting a little bit of pullbacks, which is good to have now before we enter, because obviously I don't want you guys to enter and get pulled back on, and it gets very scary and you shave a few years off your lifespan with the stress. All right, It happens to me all the time. I don't want it to happen to you guys. All right. So let's see if we can kind of pull back a little bit here, which we kind of already got it, as you guys see on the 5-minute time frame right here. So what we want to see is a very strong impulse below this. Depending on the hold below, you can take it. Now, I will say, guys, I will say, because I know a lot of you guys want to play very safe. All right. If you guys want to, oh wait, there's an impulse. If you guys want to play safe, you guys can also wait for this inverse to happen. By the way, guys, we're kind of impulsing below it, right? If you guys want to kind of work around this. But if you guys want to play safe and not risk as much behind the setup, you can always look to wait for this 5-minute inverse to go ahead and happen as well. We're not too far away from it. We're maybe like what, like maybe 35, yeah, 35 points away from it. So if you guys want to also wait for that, you definitely could. You're going to get a later entry, but the same bias and the same read as well. So it's kind of the same thing. All right, it's just a later entry, and the later entry, just more confirmations come along. All right, so you'll probably avoid the fake out, you'll get more selling pressure, you'll get more everything. All right, so if that's what you guys want to do, you definitely could. All right, but remember, we're gonna have a few price targets. All right, PT1 being the 35 points right down here, and then PT2 being the London low right down here, which I wish I fixed, and then the final price target would be right down here. Right, so let me mark it out for you guys in the meantime. So PT1 would be the 5-minute time frame right here. So IFEG, PT1. Yeah, I'm just gonna put PT. And we have the New York low. By the way, guys, we're selling off right now. New York low, DUL, and then we're gonna have the Asia low. Right, so Asia low obviously being our. Now, guys, we just approached this Ferrari gap, so it can get a little bit scary here. Don't worry. Let me know. Type in one in the chat if you guys entered off of this inverse here, because we did get a nice impulse there. I think I did say it. I definitely did. Asia low, DOL. Right over here. Now, keep in mind, guys, for the people playing it safe, wait for this 5 minutes to get inverse. For the people risking it, it could get a little bit scary. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. We might get a little bit of a pullback or a little bit of a bounce here. Just because keep in mind we are approaching yet another bullish Ferrari gap. All right, so keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. All right. Oh wait, I didn't even notice. ES had a lot of selling here. What the hell? ES just inverse the Ferrari gap. That's a really good sign. Obviously, as long as we can hold down the selling pressure and hold below it, that's an amazing sign. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. All right, so let's see how this ends up holding up. All right, guys. But remember, we're looking to target everything down here. All right, so let me delete all of this. Actually, no, it's probably best if I keep it just so you guys can know what I'm looking for. So you're going to look to target this, and you're going to look to target all of this right over here. So whether, depending on whichever fair value you take, whether it's a risky one or this one, you can look to target the fair value, the IFEG, the New York low, and the Asia low as your price targets, as your PTs. So this would be a pretty good game plan. Now, like I said, guys, for the people risking it, expect a little pullback just because we're inside of a fair value gap. Remember, you are taking a way riskier setup, but as long as ES can kind of hold this candle red and hold it below this this fair value gap right over here, you should be good. You should be good. Now, I will say ES is the weaker one, so ES might be the one that's leading. Now, if you guys want to have set some price targets on ES and watch ES go down and hit the price target so you can scale on NQ, you can also do that. I'm not going to lie, it won't be so horrible. It definitely won't be so horrible. But like I said, we are inside of a 5-minute gap on NQ, so it could definitely get a little scary. A little scary for you guys. But obviously, that's why I said that the setup was risky. All right, so we'll see how it pans out. Like I said, right now I'm just currently tape reading. I'm not gonna take any entries for myself for today, just because I'm up really nice on the week, and I just don't want to risk anything. All right, but in the meantime, I want to see how this can hold up. Because remember, look at this, guys. We're getting a pretty, not so much of a crazy bounce, more of like a 25-point bounce. It's kind of like whatever. Off of this fair value gap. So as long as ES is able to hold this candle red, since ES is the one that's leading, we should be able to shoot this back down. All right, guys. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. So in the meantime, let me kind of prepare everything right over here. All right. Let me see. Is there a bot that can count how many words someone says? David has to average like 500,000 words per stream. Dude, you don't understand how many water bottles I go through, bro. Per stream, which each stream is like 2 hours, bro. Parched? What does that mean? Let me search up. Dry with heat, bro. Nah, but that's how it is, bro. That's how it is. And it's no, it's just a little pullback. It might look like it's a big bounce, but it's really about a 25-point bounce. It's nothing really crazy. So all you need to do is just wait for ES to really reject here and just let the trade go back down. Because remember, although the bias is a little tricky to kind of get a read from, and keep in mind, guys, you guys are kind of entering right now, at least off a riskier entry. So like I said, it could get a little scary. All right, that's pretty normal. All right, could be a continuation for value gap. I don't know too much about continuation. We were getting a lot of selling pressure kicking in, so the bias is kind of, the momentum is definitely leaning more to the downside, but it can always switch up. Like I said, it's a little tricky to kind of get the right bias when the market takes out both liquidity to the upside and to the downside. So getting a read is a little scary. All right, or not a little scary, but a little tricky is what I'm trying to say. All right, so right now, I personally still believe that it's still a pullback just because ES is still kind of wicking this buying candle over here. So we just need ES to hold below 310 will be literally perfect. All right, 310 would be perfect there. But yeah, we'll see what we can get there. Now if you guys, okay, I will say though, if you guys are taking, since we are taking a little bit of a riskier setup, and ES is about to get a green to red, which is what we want to see, because remember, ES is the leading one. If you guys are sizing light because it's a risky trade, you can definitely move your stop loss up to 35 points if you want to. Because right now I am expecting a pullback. I am expecting the market to shoot a little bit lower, but we are getting a pullback, and we're about to hit that main stop loss up here. But if you guys are taking it a little bit risky and you guys are sizing a little bit lighter to the point where you can afford 35 points, just because I think it's a pullback, you could probably do something like this. But if you guys don't want to do that, you don't have to for sure. Just because this pullback is kind of holding for a little bit longer than what we were expecting. All right, but NES is also not holding above this. I mean below this inverse. All right, so let's see how this buying candle holds up. But I personally still believe that this is a pullback, but we'll see how this goes. But if you guys want to hold 30 points, we can also do 30 points as well, just in case. But that's kind of weird how, well, it's not really weird. We knew it. We knew it, right? Well, obviously, we took the risk off the 50-minute, or some of you guys took the risk off the 50-minute, and we bounced off the 5-minute, which was expected. Or not really expected, like all the way up here, but you know, it was something. It was something. But let's see if this next candle can kind of hold this down here. Now, like I said, if you guys believe that the bias is still bearish, I believe that the bias is personally bearish. If you guys want to do that, you can always move your stop loss maybe a little bit higher into 35 points. It's gonna be a little bit riskier and a little bit, you know, heavier on the trade. But like I said, I personally do believe that we can definitely see lower. So as long as you have that stop loss placed up here or at 35 points, you should be good. Hopefully. Because this pullback is a little messy. And that's mainly because we're bouncing off of this very strong 5-minute fair value gap here. Now a lot of you guys are probably saying like, hey, it might be a continuation model. And, you know, I mean, it could be, but I'm definitely still leaning more towards bearish. Um, just mainly because we took out most of the liquidity and buyers just got a little bit exhausted here. To the point where we inverse this 15-minute, and I wanted to see the 5-minute get inverse as well with ES as well. But ES is just completely flipping here, so it can definitely flip a little bit here as well. But we'll see. We'll see. Because right now it's just wicks. 3 wicks is what we have so far. Maybe we get a 5-minute inverse. I mean, not 5-minute retracement here. I mean, we already tapped into it. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I really like, if you guys are in this position, I really want to say, I know we're getting close to the stop loss and we're pulling back a little bit, but I really want to say move your stop loss to 35 points. I really want to say it. Okay, look, what I'm gonna say, guys, if you're in a light position or lighter than usual, which knowing you guys are probably full putting this trade as per usual. But if you guys are in a light position, the reason I'm gonna say move your stop loss to 35 points is because I know we're getting a little bit of a pullback here, maybe more than a little bit, but look at this, guys. Remember, our bias is still seeing bearish. All right, and we have all of the reason. We have the on both ES and NQ. Now ES is pulling back into this 5-minute bearish value gap right over here. Right, so if we reject off this fair value gap, which we probably could, but that pullback is gonna be too heavy though. It's gonna probably shoot into the stop loss at 35 points. That's gonna be the problem. It's gonna be too hard to kind of tell here. Because what I'm expecting is we pull back into this fair value gap right here after we got the inverse, which should have been selling off already, and then we reject back down. But the buying pressure is not super strong, but it definitely is kicking in quite a bit. I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, no, that buying pressure is. I'm assuming you guys got stopped out on that one, and it's mainly because of this 5 minute gap for sure. So although we had the right, a pretty good read, yeah, no, that thing for sure hit the stop loss there. Yeah, yeah, that one got a little bit cooked. I'm not gonna lie, but it's mainly because of this 5 minute for sure. Right down here, we ended up tapping into this one, and but I was expecting us to shoot lower just because we inverse this 5 minute fair value gap right over here as well. We had the selling, we had everything, but I guess not. And I don't want to see that NQ wants to shoot higher. I mean, maybe it does into 180, but hmm. Yeah, because we inverse this one and we didn't even hold up this inverse, although everything lined up pretty much good. Yeah, I just saw that the thing. You think longs? Nah, don't chase longs, bro. Don't chase longs. Don't revenge trade. David, you don't think we're gonna take out the New York high from yesterday, or are you not trading today? No, I'm personally not trading today. I'm green on the week, so I told you guys I'm just gonna do commentary for today. But that's weird because I would have taken the setup any day of the week. Although I did say that this 15 minute one was really risky just because we had a 5 minute price target right down here. I guess it came back and kind of two batters in the ass pretty much. You know what I mean? Because we ended up bouncing from the complete top from this 5 minute fair value cap and bouncing right back up. So for the people that were waiting for the safer entry, you guys got saved, bro. I'm not gonna lie, you guys definitely got saved from this one, which I wasn't really expecting so much of an early bounce just like that. But I guess we're gonna go right back up into this level of liquidity. So let me kind of delete everything for now, and let me kind of like redraw a new setup if we do get it, to see if we can work with something there. Dude, did you full port this? Are you? You know what? I did say before that I wouldn't be surprised if you guys full ported. It's really not anything new. You expect success correctly on evals? Not really, not really. Yeah, but no, this trade idea definitely looked really good. It's just this 5 minute gap. Like I said, it was risky because of the 5 minute gap, and it pretty much ended up coming back and really haunting us here. So I'm gonna see if I can draw another setup for you guys to probably make most, if not all, back. But I just gotta find something a little bit cleaner here. I can't really work with anything off the 15 minute time frame just because we're working with so many wicks here. But maybe something off the 5 minute could definitely work out here. Um, and I'm not really expecting us to shoot all the way back down over 80 points to then inverse this one instead to take a re-entry because that's just too far away. Although it could happen. It's just way too far away, for sure. But maybe on the five, I doubt this is a gap here either way or imbalance. 32 points. Yeah, no, definitely not. Hmm. That work is crazy. Yeah, a little bit. But we'll see. We'll see what we can cook up here. Maybe on the 15 minute time frame we can create a gap somewhere here and probably look to inverse it as well. Because I'm not gonna lie to you guys, longs is kind of out of the picture. Let me see. It feels like last year, I first joined the premium. You always said after the London high and low get taken out, you don't take a trade. Yeah, I know. I still stick by that. Which is why I told you guys, obviously taking the trade is gonna be a little bit tricky, but don't worry, guys. I literally told you guys this one was gonna be risky. Now, obviously, no excuses behind it. It didn't work out, but don't worry about it. But it seems like literally most, if not all of you guys, literally full ported this one trade, bro. Like, bro, dude, everyone that I'm seeing here full ported this trade, bro. Surprise? Nah, not even, bro. Not even. You guys are something, bro, with that full porting thing. But anyways, okay. So what I'm gonna say here, guys, is we still have 7 minutes behind the setup, so I could probably give you guys one last thing just in case, but it's gonna take a little bit longer. Um, it seems like ES kind of wants to reject back down when NQ really isn't. Full ported a risky setup. I mean, the thing is, not that the setup was bad or anything. It was actually a really good setup. It's just like I said, guys. If we inverse this one and we shoot 10 points down, which is literally exactly what we did, you're gonna go straight into the next fair value gap, which you can bounce off anywhere, and that's exactly what we did. Which is why I told you guys, if you want a risky entry, you enter off this. If you want a safer entry, you enter off this here. But the selling pressure was coming in nice, which is why I told you guys, like, hey, maybe an entry here wouldn't be so bad after all. But I mean, it's definitely tricky when we have two fair value gaps stacked on top of each other. That's for sure. But I'm gonna see what we can work with because right now ES is really selling off here, which it should have been doing this, but I guess not. I guess not. You know what I mean? So maybe we can get enough selling to kind of shoot down to this 5 minute as well, but that's too much. That's still 75 points that we have to sell off. And I don't want to. I don't want to give you guys a trade based off ES, especially after we inverse the fair value gap here, which didn't even end up holding up. I'm good off that. S&T is crazy. Yeah. Hindsight, everything is risky. No. I said no. I very clearly said before that this setup was risky. I made it very clear. I just, it looked good with the volume, so I said, if you guys want to take it, you definitely could. But yeah. Anyways, in terms of a re-entry, because I see a good amount of you guys asking for a re-entry. I don't really see one anywhere at least. The only re-entry that I would see into shorts right now, at least, before we form a setup, would have to be all the way down here, over 70 points down at 23.94. And we're not seeing that for sure. Maybe not this morning. But ES on the other hand, it wants lows. Isn't it obvious that it's bullish and not bearish today? Look at the trend line and higher highs and higher lows. Well, I'm trading based off the smaller time frame, which, we took our liquidity and we started forming the MSS model. Right? So remember, the whole reason as to why we were going up and on the smaller time frame and having a bullish bias or a bullish trend is because right here we took out the objective to the downside to hit the objective to the upside. Once we hit the objective to the upside, notice how the buying pressure really died down. MSS model, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, and lower highs, lower lows. Right? We had a ton of selling. Right? So yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna see. Hopefully, the volume doesn't really die down now. Because NQ wants higher when ES wants lower, which is gonna be really hard to tell, especially when we take out all of the levels of liquidity to the upside and downside. It makes trading so much harder for the day. But maybe we can get a move here. But yeah, let me see. Because like I said, the S&T here is just gonna make trading today or this morning a literal living hell. Because once again, when one wants lower and the other one wants higher, and when one took out the objective to the upside and to the downside, it just makes trading it so tricky. Because 1 second we're bearish and the other second we're bullish. You know what I mean? So worst comes to worst, maybe I don't want to say the PM might be the move yet because we still have volume in the market that I'm liking. It's just making the setup is just so complicated. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Right here is where I would say the volume starts dying down for sure. Why exactly? The SMT, huge SMT. The market, the volume's gonna die down. I already know. I've seen this happen a million one times. Bro, I'm tilted. If you're feeling tilted, bro, with this loss or whatever, just because we got the wrong read or the risky setup or whatever, bro, you can always get off, bro. There's always gonna be a next time. I mean, so yeah, if you guys are feeling tilted, get off for sure. But I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Look, we've taken some losses before. This week, one loss this week, what, on Tuesday or something. We took one loss last week as well, or around there. And you guys have never like full ported this much. I'm seeing a lot of you guys down heavy as hell today. Why is it heavier today than usual? Because I usually don't see it like this. Typically, I see like, oh, I'm down 300, I'm down 200 or whatever. Today, everyone's on like over $1,000, bro. Let me see. No, we're not mad about it for sure. I mean, we knew what we were looking for. I mean, we had two entries here, the risky one and the safer one. I decided to give out the riskier one and gave out, why it could reverse and prevent it reverse, whatever. You know what I mean? On to the next one. Hey, you guys are down a lot today. Usually more than usual is what I would say. Definitely more than usual. Because typically when we get stopped out and everything, or when I'm training with you guys, I see, oh, I got stopped out for minus 300, minus 400, or whatever. But yeah, everyone wanted to full put the risky setup today. Anyways, all right. So guys, what I'm gonna say is, oh no, I can't even say it because on the 1 minute time frame, we have a 33-point candle, so we can't even get a setup here. Because by the time, what are the chances that we pump up into the 190s in a minute from now? It's you know you use starters. Yeah, not a bad idea. Not a bad idea on that one. I probably should have said that. Should have, would have, could have, whatever. But yeah. See, I'm gonna get off. You said it was risky, so I didn't take it. See you next week. Yeah, bro, no problem, no problem, bro, no problem. Now, like I said, guys, if you guys are feeling a little bit tilted, or whatever, there's nothing wrong with going to take a little bit of a breather off the charts until the PM session starts. Because right now the volume could die down quite a bit. I mean, look at this. You said it was risky. I feel like sizing light is implied in a way. Yeah, I guess, but everyone takes it their own way. The setup was there. I will say that the setup was there, just didn't hold up because the other fair value got below, which was this 5 minute one below. Wait, what? Did I read that right? Oh, a 15-minute candle looks more like 30. Looks more than 33 points. Yeah, sometimes when the market is slow, it kind of like averages in with the current points that the market is averaging per candle, and it will make the 30+ point candles look a lot bigger than usual. I agree, bro. I agree. Even on a normal trade where it looks really, really good, bro, that's way too much, bro. But yeah, anyways, guys, I might say PM might be better. With the volume dying down a little bit here. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I'm expecting a little bit of chop here. We're probably gonna chop above the price and just stay around this range for some time. But yeah, would you guys be down for the PM session later today if I see something? Or yeah, because the market is kind of the volume is definitely dying down a little bit. We could probably get a setup forming throughout the PM if something like really spikes up here. And we're really close to all-time high, so I can probably get you guys one last setup that could probably work out. Obviously, I'm not if it's risky like this one, I'm definitely not gonna put it out because I mean, look what happened. When we have two fair value gaps stacked on top of each other, it's not really the prettiest trade. All right. Now, like I said, the volume was there, and yeah, I said it looked good. So yeah, but yeah, if I see something else throughout the PM session, I would say we're pretty good. Just send the idea before it plays out. I always do, bro. I always do. There's never been a time where I haven't done that. But yeah, if anything, since I'm doing commentary today, I'll even do it on live. Just because it won't really be as stressful, and I can really talk behind it and everything. David, let's just use the 50-minute forming fair value gap in the PM. Besides it's not 40 points. Wait, what? David, let's just use that 15-minute fair value gap forming. This one? Nah. No. I'm gonna wait for a better looking setup. This one, this candle right here, not only is not 40 points, but it was formed with literally zero volume. There's nothing in there. But yeah, guys, I'm gonna come back during the PM session. If I see something, I'll let you guys know, and I'll 1,000,000% get back on the live trading. But only if the market really starts spiking up a little bit more than usual than what we have right now, and if a better setup forms. Now, if it's risky, I'm not even gonna bother. But if it looks good, I'll get on. All right, guys. Because yeah, right now the volume is kind of dying down a little bit. All right, guys. But yeah. But anyways, super trade lost my week's profit. Well, you shouldn't really be risking a week's profit in one trade. You know what I mean? So. No, like not dying, like not the market going down, bro. The volume dying down is what I mean, bro. These candles. Well, this candle is kind of a little bit like a little something. Maybe we can get something going here, but it's only 20 something points. But yeah, I'm gonna see if we can probably trade into all-time highs or get the sweep around here, and I could probably get you guys a setup. All right. But yeah. Anyways, guys, and I before you guys say, yo, we should probably wait for this candle. It's closing in 15 seconds. It's only 27 points. Yeah, we're not seeing anything off that. All right, guys. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get off for a little bit. I'm gonna take a little bit of a breather. I'm gonna be on the charts. But once I see something, guys, I'm gonna get back on and I'll let you guys know. And once I see something, we're gonna take it. All right, guys. But yeah. All right, I'll see you guys later then. All right, guys. All right, peace out, guys. Peace. And YouTube, guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed the stream. I might get back on live on YouTube as well for later today because I want to give you guys one really nice idea as commentary before we go into the weekend. So if you guys see me live later today, don't be surprised because I might go live again later in the PM session if the market picks up. All right, guys. But in the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and take a breather. So I'll see you guys maybe later today, if not Monday. Remember, I am not trading tomorrow. All right, guys. All right, peace out, guys. Peace.